This is Dan Ferrisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald. Happy to be working in partnership once again with the HDBaseT Alliance here at InfoComm 2026, doing thought leader interviews with some of our industry's top suppliers and technology facilitators. I'm really happy to be joined today by Holger Reisinger, as well as Jimmy Vaughan from Jabra and from Microsoft, respectively. We're going to be talking about key trends in video conferencing. Thank you again for joining me both. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's get started. Video conferencing has certainly come a long way from a camera on a screen. What would you say are the biggest changes that you're seeing right now in how people meet and collaborate? And what do you think is going to define the next year or two or three for that matter?
I'll start.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Because you know I got opinions about this and everything else.
I want to hear them.
So one of the things that I think really pigeonholes everything is the term video conferencing. Words matter. And I don't think that what we're seeing right now in shared spaces and organizations is video conferencing itself. I think that has a connotation, if you've been around as long as we have in this industry, it has the connotation of difficult to dial in, difficult to actually add the passcode, those sort of things. And what we at Microsoft really are looking at right now is actually taking and removing a lot of the friction that happens inside of these kinds of rooms. And if you look at it, video and audio are a very, very important part of what we do. That's why we've got partners like Jabra who are making solutions for Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Teams rooms. But when you say video conferencing, you are forgetting about everything else that happens inside of that room. There are ideas about, all right, AI with cameras, AI with the audio, AI that sits on the platform and helps productivity inside of those meeting rooms and everything else. So I think we have to sort of go a little bit forward. And somebody asked me today, all right, if you're not going to call it video conferencing, what would you call it? And the closest thing that I think I can come up with is unified communications. But I still think that that idea of the AI-powered workplace is so far beyond video conferencing that it's like talking and comparing an iPhone to a Palm Pilot. And that's the kind of thing that I think we have to look at and we have to get away from. Like I said, audio and video are a huge part of what we do and everything else. We want the best of the best for both of those solutions. Good enough is no longer good enough. You can't just take a webcam and sort of put it in and those kind of things. You need quality cameras. You need the idea of 4K, 444 to be distributed throughout the room. You need the idea of 21:6 at the front of the room and maybe an extra monitor and things like that. So we do share some of that and everything else, but to term it video conferencing, I think we're looking at these platforms and sort of diminishing a little bit about what they do.
Honestly, I take that correction very well, and I will tell you, after InfoComm, I may reach out to you and ask for an op-ed explaining that to our audience, because I think it's an important counterpoint to take, so thank you for that.
You know, we announced this week, Microsoft and Avixa are going to be doing 24/7 training online.
Yeah.
Think of it CTS, but for Microsoft Teams rooms and stuff like that. That's what we're looking at and we're looking at doing. And we're looking at doing that because we want to inform everybody and sort of educate the entire organization and the members about everything that we do. We've been working with specific partners on the OEM side and then other integration partners and things like that. We're expanding that and enabling everybody to have these kind of trainings. And that's what I think you're really sort of coming away from. One of the big keynotes that I took away, Dan, we see almost 1,000 rooms a day going in at this point. So when you think about scale and when you think about what's going on, yeah, these aren't just those big rooms that we used to talk about and everything else. We're scaling throughout the entire organization.
And Holger, what would you add to that?
My take is actually not a massive shift in technology, but rather an expectation. So I think hybrid workers, they have an expectation from a meeting room configuration. They compare it with the home setup, and if it doesn't work, it fails in their eyes, right? So for them, it's about ultimately just their own productivity. They want this to happen very simply. And I think what's more important for them is actually equity, so the experience they have in the room. And I think the biggest challenge when it comes to equity is still audio.
Yeah.
So if audio is failing, the meeting is just not working.
That's right.
And people will judge this experience, particularly if you're on the far end, how they feel about it. And good audio is going to define whether people feel part of the conversation or not.
There is no doubt that is foundational to feeling like you're genuinely part of the conversation. So bring your own device flexibility. I think that might be something you might want to start with, Holger. It's coming up as a priority in the conversations that I have. How are you building BYOD into what you offer, and what does it actually take to make the experience smooth for someone walking into a room, especially if it's a room into which they have never walked before?
Yeah, I mean, if the room fights your device you're bringing, BYOD fails. I think that's the starting point, right? People want it simple, they want the USB-C connectivity, they want the solution to be agnostic to whatever software client you are running. I mean, this is what BYOD is about. And to make this a smooth experience, I think it's about the intelligent hardware who can handle that, right? Intelligent hardware that compensates whatever the software stack you are bringing to the room that sits on your laptop. So I think that's ultimately the expectation people are having. So the smart device then can help you compensate for bad audio on the fly. It makes sure that we have framing the right people and that the camera can follow whoever is speaking in the room. So that's, in my eyes, something the hardware has to deliver, the room has to deliver. And this is ultimately what makes BYOD smooth.
And from my side, Microsoft looks at the room and we really sort of say, all right, we want eyes, ears, and a brain inside of that room at all times. BYOD doesn't always deliver that. The brains of that is really sort of being brought in and everything else. But our OEM manufacturers at Jabra, a lot of those devices can actually be turned into Teams rooms. So what we've decided to do, and some of the things that we've decided to share with our customers, is data from those rooms themselves. Mm-hmm. If that room is being used a lot, significantly, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, you're booking that room and there's no open spots and everything else, we are going to surface that and say, hey, this is a good opportunity for a Teams room itself. Right. And why are we doing that? Because if we have eyes, ears, and the brain inside of the room, we can deliver pre-meeting, during the meeting, and post-meeting results more accurately than we can with a BYOD device. I understand the allure of BYOD. I understand that people want to work with what they have, and that's the idea. I understand how this works, and I walk into the room and this works. But we're looking at some of these meeting room solutions, and meetings have been difficult to this point in time. And we're saying we can remove more friction. Think about the old video conferencing. Now I'll go back to my video conferencing rant from before. Think about the old video conferencing. It was a challenge to use the technology. Single touch join, now when people walk into the room, they hit that. All the technology works with them. Yeah. We can even remove that friction point of needing to hit that button. We showed at the keynote here this week, the idea that you can walk in, you can say to the system facilitator, can I join a Zoom room? And you can hold up your Zoom coordinates to the camera itself, and the AI actually joins from a Teams room the Zoom meeting. Wow. So these are the kind of things that we're looking at. Again, removing that friction and removing everything that's there. So while I understand the allure of BYOD, we want to help customers from a data standpoint say, we can do more for you, and we can actually make this room better if we get that in. And like I said, the OEM's Jabra has that capability. If you've put in a Jabra device's BYOD, there's a great chance you can just go ahead and upgrade that right to a Teams room itself.
No, absolutely. It's all about removing the friction, making it accessible, making it easy, democratizing access to great collaboration. And I mean, Jabra, as you say, is a real leader in that. I just did my hands-on review of the Panicast U30. I mean, I love the idea of removing friction, making it accessible, even for someone like me, who is not going to be in the room able to navigate all this stuff. Just make it easy, make it frictionless.
And on that point, it's not a design choice, it's a philosophy to make the device really agnostic to whatever platform you are using and whatever use case you are preferring, right? Yeah. So if you have a large fleet of rooms and you want to manage them, you can do that with that device as well, right?
Yeah.
So conference rooms are getting simpler. We're talking about this. Less hardware, fewer cables, fewer things that can go wrong, fewer potential points of failure. How do you see the room evolving as more tech gets embedded into the cameras, into the controllers? What is pushing the simplification, pushing this drive for less friction, more simplicity, more accessibility, more democratization?
Yeah, my take is, I mean, we are coming from, 5 devices to a single one. Yeah. So I'm talking camera, microphone, speaker, AI processing, connectivity. So now you get all this in a single device, right? That's a simplification in itself. So the benefit of that is less things that can break, less components that needs to be managed, much easier to deploy, right? Let's talk about, pushing back a little bit on simple, right? maybe complexity. Where's the complexity going? The devices become more intelligent. In my eyes, the complexity is moving away from the hardware and going into the software stack. This is where the future complexity is in my eyes, sitting.
Yeah, less complex hardware, more capable software.
Exactly.
Jimmy?
I think from that side, from the platform, when you think about it, to your point, a lot of the stuff goes to software and everything else. We used to have systems that you put a system inside of the room, and that was the best it was ever going to be.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you get, you're designing and everything else. People that have adopted Teams rooms for the last 10 years, those features come to all of those systems, and the rooms get better and better and better. And I think to the point of what will we do? We're simplifying those installs. There might have been 20 different devices inside of the room at one point and everything else. We can get that down now, to your point, in a couple of different devices that are in there. And as long as we can simplify that, those 1,000 rooms, they have to be easy to install. When you're talking 1,000 rooms a day, that's not insignificant and everything else. Now you're talking about refreshes, now you're talking about things like that. Again, we're going to get simpler, more defined, and easier to install, and easier to actually secure these things.
Yeah.
One of the things that used to happen is, all right, as an installer, I would have to ask for credentials. We're now doing passwordless things. We have things with MDEP, our Microsoft Device Ecosystem platform, that will allow us to actually enroll in Intune and a management system, so that once you add devices to this, it just automatically absorbs everything, and all those features are automatically in there. So not without handing username and passwords to different people and compromising my security. So there's a lot of things that we're doing on that side to make it simple.
And if I just may build on what Jimmy just said, I mean, let's not confuse a smaller count of devices for devices becoming dumb. I think they're becoming actually smarter and smarter.
Correct.
And
we actually offload a lot of AI to the edge devices so that they can actually take that load.
And the point is, for, let's say, enterprises who now decide on a vendor, I think it's important that they buy intelligent devices that have the memory, that have the headroom, that the device can grow with the software capabilities that are coming from the cloud or whatever people bring on their client.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. My advice would be really stop buying dumb devices, buy devices that are also equally smart 5 years later down the road, and not at the day when you purchase them.
Yeah.
It's interesting, it almost seems like the software is the engine driving the train, and that is what's driving us forward. The hardware will keep up with the software.
Together.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So if we jump ahead to 27, 28, 29 and beyond, what will the meeting room look like? What do you prognosticate? And what should orgs be doing right now? What should integrators be doing right now to ready themselves for that future that you may see as inevitable?
I think what you're going to see is it's going to be easier to join meetings. I think meetings will become more productive and easier to run. As we go into this world of not only humans meeting, but humans meeting with agents, and agents helping us drive all of these meetings and everything else, we're gonna, so many times we've had meetings about the last meeting, and everything else. Those are slowly starting to chip away as we get more and more intelligence inside of the rooms, inside of even people's personal devices. One of the things that we introduced this week, the facilitator agent actually shows you the agenda for the meeting on the top with a timeline of how much time is left and how we're progressing on that meeting itself. That was unheard of 5 months ago and everything else. A lot of times internally we have meetings, and Ilya talks about it all the time. He jumps into a conversation about hockey, and then we're all derailed, and we're off the rails and everything else. But if we can have these agents actually bring us back onto the track and back into that, we can start to actually have some of these better meetings. We never want to be the guy that's orchestrating the meeting and telling the executive, hey, we got to keep on track. But if we can hand that to an agent, we can really keep on track and we can have more productivity. So the one thing that I think is going to be changing is we're bringing more of that agent to agent, agent to human to human compatibility inside of the rooms themselves.
So much possibility there.
Yeah.
Holger, what would you add?
From my end, I think the big shift is that rooms stop being passive and becoming reactive. And like Jimmy said, yes, the agent helps the meeting itself, but agents are going to be participants in the meeting moving forward. I think that's critical. For this to happen, they need to reason. I mean, they need to have the same comprehension like we as human beings in the room. So they take signals like how many people are in the room, is it a good meeting, are we using the space in a smart way? So, I mean, that will drive more engaged meetings, more productive meetings. but also the data you are generating helps you planning for the future to find better setups that really people appreciate, and yeah, organizations' productivity also going up because of that.
The one thing that won't change, we're going to always have cameras. We're always going to have microphones. We're going to have those things inside of these rooms
Eyes
and
and
everything
ears.
else.
Yeah,
Correct.
the eyes and the ears.
But a lot of the things behind that and that drive the meetings, I think that's where you're going to see the change.
And that those agents, increased efficiency, making sure you stay on task, so you don't do the meeting about the meeting about the meeting, as you say. Exciting times ahead. So thank you so much, Holger. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for informing me. I'm not going to say the V word about unified communications, about the future of meetings. Thank you so much.
We'll get through it. We'll get through it, and we'll go to it and everything else. Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
us.
My name is Dan Ferrisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald, here once again working in close partnership with HDBaseT Alliance at InfoComm 2026, talking about the future trends and needs of our industry.